I'm Mushi, and this is frame-by-frame fight analysis of Alan Becker's Animation vs. Minecraft, where I'll be analyzing the different fight choreographies, maneuvers, and basically all the small but funny details inside these rapid fight scenes, because, let's face it, there are some fights that have way too many things happening all at once, and keeping track of every subtle detail in the way that a character kicks, partners up, or dodges isn't the easiest. Plus, I like fight scenes. And today, we're going to be looking at a fight scene in the episode The Chef, where, fun fact, the entire fight scene is only around a minute long, but we have so many things happening already. The reason this fight is so chaotic is because it's meant to be. It's all of them entering some guy's house and deciding that they were just going to raid it. How I'll be doing this video is that on the left side of your screen, you'll see the frame that I'm referring to, and we'll just casually slow down the regular footage here. You're going to have to bear with my narration for this kind of series compared to my other ones, but that's mostly because all of these motions happen in the blink of an eye. Anyway, let's begin. Red starts the fight off by trying to grab the book, except he misses and runs straight into the wall. The rest of the color gang, for reasons unknown, look appalled that the chef didn't want to be robbed and decided that they were going to take matters into their own hands. As if they didn't just barge into a man's home to rob him, but you know. Blue dives for the book with zero cares in the world and backflips straight into the wall, and Orange lunges for the book. But the chef dodges him by jumping in the air with an open split. The chef tosses the book into the air to dodge Yellow and throws Green before catching the book cleanly. The chef's the first one to draw a weapon, and after getting horribly humiliated, Blue and Green are the first to draw their swords. Red, Orange, and Yellow notice this and draw theirs. Green and Yellow are the first to run at the chef before getting parried pretty hard, Yellow tripping on himself and having to collect a few moments, while Green is kicked right in the torso, sending him flying. Orange retaliates while Yellow is trying to get his bearing, and gives a pretty cool side block while Blue leverages on Orange's momentum with Yellow closely behind to flank. I want to emphasize how cool the chef's sword strikes here are. He parries Blue, then with the same momentum, he retaliates against Yellow and Orange with a single upward crescent strike. While in this motion, he's turning his entire body while the book is still mid-air. Then, he anticipates Green's attack from the bottom and jumps up. Green loses his momentum, but Yellow recovers his. Meanwhile, Red, Blue, and Orange prepare for a strike from the side. Red charges in first, but the chef uses the momentum from his spin to turn around and hit 3 of them at once. Yellow's on the offensive and makes a strike against the chef, but it's blocked. On the other hand, Red is on the defensive, blocking the incoming swing from the chef after the chef parries Yellow, and that swing's power carries over to Orange, whose swing is intercepted. In a single strike, 3 of them are immediately counterattacked. Orange and Yellow, who were swinging their swords to match the chef's, keep their position relatively stable, but Red, who was blocking prematurely, is knocked back and you can see him stumble. The chef recovers from the swing and sends the sword back at Yellow, who parries it. Yellow tries to anticipate the chef's leg landing after the spin, but the chef pulls it back just fast enough to kick an unsuspecting Red in the stomach. Red's still recovering from the speed disparity, so he has no time to block. I love how in this sequence, you can see that Green sheathes his sword and starts going for the objective, all while the 4 of them are trying to fend this guy off. Orange is caught off guard by the jumping guy and tries to dive down to dodge him, and you can even see him putting the sword down momentarily. Blue takes on an offensive stance here and tries to send the sword flying down, anticipating the chef jumping into the air after kicking Red. But we see that Blue swings at the same time Yellow does, and the chef is able to sandwich his knife right in between theirs, parrying their attacks. This collision knocks Blue forward as he loses the power of his sword swing, especially since Yellow's strong counterforce is enough to make him stumble forward. Yellow, though, stays on the offensive and tries to chase down the chef, all while Red and Orange are genuinely discombobulated during the entire thing. At this point, I'd be surprised if they even have any idea what's going on because Red just looks exhausted and regretting his life decisions. The chef rolls on top of the table, and Orange tries to avoid the random villager rolling right next to him. Blue recovers his footing and turns back only to find the chef hopping onto the wall next to Red. Blue, Orange, Red, and Yellow look up at the chef that has decided he was Spider-Man, while Green doesn't care about anything that's happening and starts trying to loot the place clean. The chef does an amazing knife kick straight into Blue while latching onto the lantern. Yellow dodges, and if Blue didn't react fast enough, I'm sure he'd be dead here. I love the stance Blue has with the sword where he pulls it straight in front of him, but the chef has a clear goal in mind. The knife bounces off of Blue's sword and Green realizes that the chef is coming for him as he stumbles backwards with all of the food. What's cool about this sequence is that the chef recognizes that Blue is the closest one that's ready to defend Green. So rather than risk having Blue run up to block the shot for Green, had the chef decided to throw the knife at the one with the food, the chef throws it back at Blue instead, which makes him stumble backwards enough to not have the right stance to block any future attacks. While the sword is mid-air and Green is vulnerable but with the food and no backup, the chef begins his attack. He starts by focusing on Green's balance and goes for the active leg. By doing so, the force that Green would have used to make a run for it is interrupted and he stumbles backwards. Green is smacked with the book straight in the face with the chef's left hand, while the right hand is fixing all of the food flying in the sky. The book is tossed into the air and Green has no choice but to keep retreating. I love how the chef is constantly attacking his active leg, which you should always do when someone is trying to pivot. Most of the time, the force of a person shifts from leg to leg when they walk, so by targeting that movement, the person loses their balance. In this case, Green's foot is stomped on. Green kneels from the pain and is kicked straight in the face. This is the third time today that he's been ragdolled. Blue is the quickest to recover from all of this and runs at the chef, but he mispredicts the counterattack. Because instead of using the knife to parry Blue a second time, the chef turns around and immediately notices Yellow. You can see that Blue swings his sword down as if anticipating another strike, only for the knife to come flying to the people in the back. The book is tossed into the air as the chef pulls out 2 more knives. You can also see in the back that Red and Orange have decided to tag team and throw an entire table. The chef does a horizontal simultaneous throw towards a table that Orange and Red threw while blocking Blue's next attack. The table is broken, to which Blue gracefully dodges with the jump, and a 4th knife is flung straight to Yellow, to which he blocks. The chef has his attention on Yellow, Green, Red, and Orange, but he pulls out a 2nd knife to anticipate Blue behind him, blocking Blue's downward attack while forcing Yellow into the defensive. Blue loses an anchor for his jump and is again sent straight into the wall for the 2nd time this sequence. Green finally gets to join the fray with Orange also pulling out his sword. Green blocks one of the throwing knives, sending it straight into the cupboard. What's cool here is you can see in Red's body language that his situational awareness is focused on the book, and Yellow catches this. Green serves as the primary attacker and continues to block for the people in the back, while Blue is still recovering from the jump. Green counter swings on 3 knives while Orange runs as the 2nd attacker and blocks the next 2 shots for Green. In the back, we see Yellow and Red concocting a plan, with Yellow giving Red a boost to go for the book. Unfortunately, the chef also sees this. The chef capitalizes on Orange being distracted with his lunge that he's able to gracefully dodge while simultaneously using that jump to grab onto the book. This sends Red hurling into a wall. Orange's sword is mega stuck, and now Red is incapacitated. Green is caught off guard by this and his axe kicked right on top of his head the moment he decides to try and see what happened to Orange and Red. Yellow prepares for his swing forward with the momentum that he got from propelling Red, but simultaneously, Orange is pushed back by the force he used to pry his sword out. Because of this imbalance sending him tumbling, he's not able to see the chef flinging the book onto his head, which unfortunately sends the book flying straight to Yellow, who was mid-lunge. Blue tries to strike at the chef while he's falling, hoping that he wouldn't be able to find his footing fast enough. But instead, the chef uses Blue's lowered pose as the perfect trampoline to roll over, similar to how he rolled over the table the first time. Blue is caught off guard by this and fumbles the attack because he didn't swing backwards. The chef capitalizes on Blue keeping a lower stance and strikes at him with a knife, but Blue is able to catch it just fast enough before he's impaled. He blocks the next knife with a downward swing using the same momentum, and though it looks like he's able to thwart the guy, he moves a little too fast and doesn't have a steady footing. Blue's focused too much on catching the book that he's slammed Tangled style. This entire sequence is just 1 to 2 minutes, but there's so much intricate choreography here that masterfully showcases proper tempo, momentum, and weight hidden in each of their attacks. This is a great fight showcasing how outskilled they were. And not because they were beaten just randomly or because they were overpowered, but because each of the chef's movements are precise. The chef was able to anticipate each of their attacks and chain his throws so that the next person in the sequence is interrupted just enough that the color gang is disrupted. Overall, a really underrated scene and definitely one of the more technical fights in the entire series. They arrive at the heart of the block and have to fight a piglin, goat, and fish. Orange reacts fast with the wood wall to block an incoming attack from a goat, and Green jumps straight on its back, riding it. Yellow hooks onto the wall with a fishing rod and follows Green's lead just to slam straight into him, knocking Green off the goat and killing it. Blue does a roll over the wall and the two of them watch the goat die. Green is collateral damage number 1, courtesy of Yellow. Yellow's the main fighter here and he just hooks straight onto the fish, slamming it into his hand without any kind of mercy. And he just kind of pockets it, I guess? Meanwhile, in the back, we have Green mourning the loss of his new ride, and Blue just is kind of staring at it too. Orange, on the other hand, is particularly unbothered by what he has to face, and just kicks the chicken, killing it instantly. The piglin starts his assault by throwing a series of netherrack, and we get a nice reference to Red's Herobrine sequence from Animation vs. Minecraft, the original. This is the moment where Red is trying to push back Yellow and Green's assault, and he beats the piglin with Green's technique with a pickaxe. Red shoves a pickaxe right into the zombie piglin, killing him and acquiring the first staff. I like how you can also hear the bee creeper thing hiss a little when Red pulls out the creeper. He changes the block into a spawner and spawns the ghast, which they ride all the way throughout this journey. He motions for everyone to jump first, then spawns it underneath them. We get a snapshot of the other enemies in the sky, noticing the intruders and making their way down to fight them. Green keeps the first staff and slots in the note block. Blue dodges an incoming desert zombie, and the next sequence commences. This is where things get mildly messy. Red kills the desert zombie while Blue kills a killer bee, then goes to fight a pillager. Yellow focuses on dodging instead of actively engaging, and Orange is fighting off a blaze. Green provides backup for Blue while he rows away to safety, and Red and Orange tag team against the blaze and the killer bee. The golem joins the fray with a bookshelf staff, and I find it cute that while Blue, Red, and Orange are fighting the books off, Yellow just kinda makes a cover and hold. Green stops the golem mid-jump by sending an F-clef its way, and I like how all of the notes are each of their colors. Blue dives for the staff, and they've successfully secured the second one. If you also notice in the sky, there's a skeleton chilling on a blaze. Green tosses the staff over to Yellow, who does a jump to catch it, and Blue swaps the shelf staff for a piston staff. And in comes the blazes. There are two separate fights in this sequence, grouped by choreography. First one is Green and Red, who are primarily focused on killing the ground-level enemies as much as possible. Green propelling himself onto the desert zombie that Orange is riding on is absolutely amazing here, and I'm so upset that it happens so quickly. The second fight is in the skies, with Orange and Blue. Blue's the only one that can reach farther mobs, and he uses Orange as his secondary support. They start with the ground enemies first, before Orange jumps in front of Blue and lets himself get propelled up by Blue's piston like a platform. Blue uses the piston to propel in two ways. He either uses it like a seesaw or he uses it like a pogo stick with the end of the piston. On the other hand, Yellow takes on a more passive role during this fight and relies on the others to guard him. Yellow tries out a couple of blocks first, shifting from a crystal to note block, then an enchantment table. Yellow enchants all of their items with the enchantment staff, giving Red's carrots the flame attribute, which he uses as shurikens. As an animal lover, of course he has the godforsaken stack of carrots, which he uses to kill a skeleton horse. Orange and Blue cover for Yellow, and Orange gets a pair of gold boots, which Yellow adds channeling to. Off screen, you can see Blue throwing a creeper straight into Green. Green gets an entire human being that's just minding its own business. Don't question it. I love how you can see the baby villager flailing in Green's grip, probably asking him to let him go, but Yellow doesn't even bat an eye to this and just goes, "Yeah, that works." Blue and Red are covering for the two when Green joins the fray and sends a blaze flying into the stratosphere. Yellow is absolutely invested in this and starts laughing before dodging a pillager. Orange covers for him while he looks for another weapon, and this is where he finds a dispenser, which he enchants with multi-shot, piercing 99, and power 99. You know, Yellow's love for shooting things with dispensers needs to be studied. He grabs onto the dispenser, making sure not to fall into the void, and starts adding a bunch of things to it. Then, we enter the Pillager sequence. This sequence opens with Yellow getting distracted, and Blue having to pull him out with the piston staff. Orange joins the fray after killing a spider, while Yellow stumbles backwards. Yellow finishes up the Ravager with an onslaught of arrows, eggs, and snowballs. Then we cut to Red and Green guarding him from the rear. Green is fending off a slime with his human weapon, while Blue and Orange move to cover for the other two. Orange takes to the skies, and green and red finish off the ones at the bottom. Blue and orange are the highlights of this scene, as we can see an extension of their previous teamwork with the piston staff. Only now, orange takes on a more aggressive fighting style with the channeling boots. Blue propels orange into one of the blazes, and orange uses his fresh kill as a platform for the next one. Blue covers for orange and launches himself into the air to continue orange's onslaught by shoving him into a spider holding onto a ghast. Then, blue finishes off a zombie piglin behind him with yellow's help. Orange gets a really cool multi-kill here by jumping onto the spider, bat, zombie, and then the zombie baby villager. On the ground, we see yellow facing off against a raider, but gets bear-trapped mid-jump along with his staff. Blue nearly falls into it but catches himself with the piston staff, launching him to the other side. Blue and orange rendezvous in the sky, to which blue propels the ladder into the raider, trapping yellow, successfully freeing him. A creeper then drops down and orange tries to kick it out of existence, only to accidentally overcharge it. Both him and yellow go, "Oh shit," and orange grabs it as fast as he can to hurl it away from them. On the other side, green is having a 1v1 with a zombie with a dripstone staff. He tries to smack the zombie with the child, but to no avail. The zombie continues its onslaught on a defenseless green, who tries to back away, but the zombie is stopped by the literal homing missile that is orange's feet. Orange and green take a moment to recover themselves, with green standing mildly surprised with what just went down. Orange quickly recovers the new staff, and while green is busy zoning out, blue comes from the other side and slams straight into him. Green now has been bodied by 2 of his teammates in this entire fight. I love the small look back that blue does as if saying, "Whoops, sorry." Yellow finishes off whatever he's fighting and gets a leaf box staff and the chisel staff, which red takes. Red passes the chisel staff over to green and he takes a leaf block for himself. Yellow's packing his dispenser with a bunch of random items, and you can see that when it gets to dispensing the water bucket with the fish, a bucket flies out and Yellow just stares at it. The 5 of them collect their bearings and start looking for the optimal blocks to stash into their staves. Yellow slots in the redstone, and red gets the TNT from the bee. Their next sequence is with the queen bee, who the little creeper bee is quite happy to see. That was a very hard sentence to record. The queen sends an army of little bees to fight them, and blue returns to the skies with the lapis lazuli block. All things considered, this is a pretty standard fight scene for all of them, with each of them throwing out bombs or lasers with their cool weapons. But a cute side sequence here is the creeper bee trying to make friends with the new bees. It tries to go to the ones closest to it, but they're immediately shot down by Yellow's laser, and it panics and leaves Yellow's line of fire. Blue is absolutely hoarded by the bees while he's mid-air and has to get bailed out by Red's TNT. Meanwhile, the creeper bee tries its luck with the ones on the other side, seeing an entire horde of bees coming its way. It tries to get their attention and befriend them, only to get shoved past and ignored as the bees make their way to a flying blue. Meanwhile, on the ground, orange and green are keeping themselves relatively stable, but red receives pushback from the bees and he's shoved into yellow, who rolls out of the way. Red's able to counterattack with a TNT throw, and yellow shoots backwards with a laser. On the other side, orange is trying to dodge the bees that are cannonballing down to sting him, only to have them all stuck into the ghast. Green sweeps them away with a chisel and makes quick work out of them. Blue is struggling heavily in the sky and red notices this. He tosses another TNT into the air and gets the bees off of him. Green and orange are fending for their life, and green's staff is hoarded by the little guys. He is raised into the air like a bad balloon, and orange catches him by targeting the bees grabbing onto green's chisel staff. The ghast is targeted during this sequence, and orange makes a nice bedrock helmet for it. The ghast repays his kindness by shooting down the queen bee, dropping down the hive staff for red to catch. Yellow pats the ghast as thanks, and I love the little character detail he has, and that yellow is really adorable with ghast mobs. This sequence ends with red calling back all of the bees into the hive, along with the little creeper bee. But that respite is short-lived as a shulker box targets red with a torch staff. Orange shoves him out of the way to block the shot with a bedrock, and blue and yellow swap out their weapons, and red makes a small jab with the Steve staff, to which blue gives a very gentle, "Not now." Yellow jumps in for orange with an ice staff and encases the shulker, and green cuts through it with a chisel and completely decimates the poor thing, only to be zapped by lightning and going down for the count into the next sequence. Green is incapacitated for the entirety of this fight. The axolotl with the lightning rod staff throws down beams at everyone. Orange provides cover as being the only one with the staff capable of block generation, and Red's sieve staff is struck into a Herobrine staff, and we get the payoff that he deserves. While the other three are trying to stay alive, Red teleports into the skies and smacks the axolotl out of existence, killing it and letting Blue retrieve the lightning staff. The next batch of enemies comes into the fray, and the board is separated into 3 sides. Orange runs for the blaze and Blue is intercepted by a villager in a cauldron, whose staff turns into an anvil and Blue makes quick work of him. In the back, we can see Red flying away with the blaze and Yellow with his own battles. A new batch of enemies try to jump on Blue, but he stops them mid-flight with a bunch of bubbles from the transmutation potions. He slaps a zombie piglin and turns it into a skulk sensor, which Orange realizes from his fight against the warden. He equips it into his staff, curious how it's supposed to work. He immediately finds out that the skulk's vibrations give him spidey sense against an incoming spiderweb. The next sequence is against a polar bear with a spiderweb staff. It jumps down and shoots a web into Red's staff, disabling the TNT block. Blue's staves are also turned into webs and Green is blinded with a web into his face. Red flies into the bear and teleports behind it, sending a kick right into its neck and knocking it forward. Blue bashes its head in with the 2 staves and Green runs in with the finishing move to roast the bear alive. The spiderweb staff falls and Green acquires a new weapon. Meanwhile, we have Yellow and Orange facing off against a wither skeleton. Yellow jumps and shoots the campfire staff down, letting himself fly with the flames thrust. He kills the wither skeleton without any problem and secures the next staff, and the random block generator gives him a bell. Meanwhile, as Blue and Red try to get the webs off their weapons, the 3 are ambushed by an incoming cow. Green's the only one that turns to see an entire cow kicking them into oblivion, and the 3 ragdoll into each other. Before I continue, I want to appreciate this frame by frame of this. Green is slammed neck first into an unsuspecting Red, who definitely didn't realize that there was an entire body coming his way. Then Blue, who sees this in just a flash, tries to fight back, but he can't do anything against Red and Green being hurled his way. He's sandwiched in between these 2 and is thrown backwards into another portal. Orange notices the portal open up while Yellow is still deciding whether to use the Wither Skull or not. The sensor detects movement happening in the sky, and Orange is pulled away to safety, but Yellow is unfortunately a human landing pad. Red and Green come crashing down onto Yellow, and you can see that Yellow struggles to push Red off of his face, only to fail spectacularly with Blue falling on top of all of him, crushing Yellow and unfortunately putting him down for the count. Green is the first one to recover from this massive pile of sticks and retaliates against the cow, much to Orange's confusion about what is happening. With the spider staff, he swings over the portal under him and tries to launch a kick into the cow, only to be dodged. The cow promptly rage baits him. Green takes the fight into the skies, with the cow constantly invading him with a number of end portals. The cow counterattacks with a kick that Green swings out of the way of as he notices a portal opening right in front of him, and the 2 of them share a series of evasions that don't really connect because neither of them can really touch each other. Green, though, makes a great maneuver and doesn't go for the cow itself, but instead uses the portal to throw a web downwards to Orange, where he grabs the bell staff from him. He pulls the staff into the portal, hurling it straight into the cow's face before it could dodge. The cow loses its grip on the end staff, which Green steals, and he opens 2 portals parallel to each other. He keeps the cow in perpetual motion a la Portal 2 momentum style and sends him into space. Whether or not this is an actual Portal reference is beyond me, but a part of me is willing to delude myself into thinking that it is. Anyway, back to the fight. Green takes a moment to admire his work before immediately moving to dodge an incoming attack from a boat with an emerald staff. Green tries to push it back using the spider webs, but to no avail. But he's able to get the jump on it by opening a portal underneath it and propelling it into the air. He grabs onto it with the spiderweb staff and pulls himself to jump on top of it. He tries to ride the boat, but the boat spins against him and he's flung out. He tries to fly backwards and fling himself again, only to get the entire staff chucked at his head with the funniest smear frame I've ever seen of the poor guy. Green is sent flying backwards and the spider staff flies to the boat, which it uses to propel itself forward towards the emerald block staff to catch it. Yellow flies in with the coolest pose of the entire fight and tries to bash himself into the boat, which he successfully does. Red starts the assault by blinking to the boat to stop its escape, and Green yanks on it with the spider web and tries to close the distance, only to get his head bashed in yet again with the emerald block. Orange's sensor catches the vibrations of the swing and pulls him away from the boat flying his way, while Red flings a TNT into it. Blue has to dodge the incoming TNT in case of friendly fire, while Orange is pulled into safety. The TNT connects, pushing the boat backwards, and yellow continues the barrage by sending wither skulls at it, only for the boat to recover fast enough to tumble into the skull and smash it. The boat throws the emerald staff into yellow and discombobulates him, but green teleports in front of the boat and intercepts the assault by flying in feet first to kick it. Green opens 2 more portals to anticipate the boat's trajectory and successfully slams into it from the other side. Red joins green in beating down the boat. The boat parries Red's first TNT throws, but Green's able to web it to deliver a devastating kick. The boat falls as Green takes Red's TNT and hurls it at it with an amazing somersault. Blue power slides underneath the boat and sends a jolt of lightning at it, only to be caught by the emerald block staff. Orange, on the other hand, is pulled backwards by the sensor staff to dodge the boat as Blue continues his attack. Orange is continuously being pulled backward while Blue is trying to close the distance, and Blue switches to the potion staff but is pushed back by the strength of the emerald block. The boat continues its march only to be bodied by a flying Green, who grabs onto it and sends it up to Yellow, who does, yet again, the best pose in the entire sequence, and torches it without any mercy. The boat tries to block with the emerald staff, but to no avail as it's launched straight into a blinking Red, who mauls its head in with a TNT point blank. The boat flies towards Orange, who with the help of the sensor, automatically swings the bell staff into it. The sensor picks up an incoming Green, and Orange dodges out of his way before they come crashing into each other, and Green's swing connects with the boat as he stumbles backwards and prepares to do another strike, only to be knocked in the back of his neck by a flying Red who shows absolutely no mercy for both him and the boat. This is the 3rd time this sequence that Green's been bodied by an ally. The sensor staff helps Orange dodge Red with the curviest bend I've ever seen in this entire series, and also helps him jump up from Green, who's tumbling to his feet. Green regains his posture as Yellow falls from the sky to a Hyrumi style kick, and Blue joins in to bash the boat in clean. The 5 of them, exhausted and battered from this entire ordeal, slam the boat with all of their anger, and the boat is reduced to smithereens. Though they're absolutely spent from that battle, they take their time to unwind and celebrate before they're crushed by the quartz ceiling. The fight opens with Blue shooting an arrow into the first spider. Here we have 4 dedicated melee fighters and 1 ranged fighter. Blue covers for Yellow with the arrows, while Green and Orange cover for each other. We see Red here propel himself off of a spider, while another lands square on Yellow's back. Yellow has to flip to get it off, and he impales it with a sword. On the other side, Green anticipates a falling spider and shish kebabs it. Blue waits for Yellow to be safely removed from the spider so he doesn't risk hitting him with an arrow before shooting straight into the spider's face. Red asks for Blue to propel him to Green. Red does a sweeping attack against 3 spiders as he flies over the Green and Orange. Green tumbles out of the way to ensure not getting impaled, and Red is caught by Orange, who grabs onto Red's leg to spin him upwards to kick another spider. Orange then uses Red to use his feet as a tiny platform to launch himself to Green. Meanwhile, Yellow is finishing off another spider with Blue's help. When Orange launches to the other side, Green notices a little too late that there's a massive head coming his way, and Orange crashes into the back of Green's legs. Green, on the other hand, uses a fishing rod to connect to Red. Yellow does a pretty cool crescent strike at the spiders in front of him, sending them Orange's way. Orange stabs his sword into them and flips backwards to grab onto the second spider, and lands with his feet on the third one, basically becoming a human Beyblade. Yellow curves down from the second crescent strike, which lets Blue climb onto his back to push himself up and finish off the rest of the spiders. On the right side, Red flanks the spiders and swings down at them. Green grabs onto him to swap their places while Blue skewers the 3 spiders with 1 arrow. Green finishes this sequence by jumping onto the top spider's back before they can separate and sinks his sword into all of them. The minecart sequence continues when they all land on individual minecarts and have to fall down the tracks. Green, Blue, Yellow, and Orange land on a minecart at roughly the same time, with a spider immediately landing on Orange's head, which he slices off of him. Blue, who's standing up, is landed on in the back, which Orange helps him with. Red actually falls later than the gang, and we can surmise with the spiders that are on him that he was grabbed onto while they were falling. Orange and Blue notice this and quickly provide support, with Orange jumping onto the next cart to get closer, and Blue shooting the incoming spiders on Red. I want to appreciate this little sequence that Red is just haphazardly and desperately punching and kicking 4 spiders off of him, and successfully shoving 2 of them off in 1 swing. On the other hand, Green is bodied by an entire spider to the face, which he promptly kicks off. Yellow moves to Green's cart and the next sequence commences. They land to the next section of the tracks with more spiders following suit. Blue is shooting them down as much as possible while also covering his own back. On the bottom, Green and Yellow look ahead to the tracks, only for Green to get jumped by a spider that Yellow shoves off. Yellow protects Green's back while Green rods them further away from the cart of spiders behind them. Red is protecting the upper people's path ahead, and Orange uses the lift of the sword's pressure to shove the minecart to the track below them, looking to provide additional help to Green and Yellow. Green rods a nearby cart while Orange decides to take a more frontal assault with the spider cart. Blue dodges 2 spiders that lunge for his legs. Blue makes a quick assessment to retreat when he notices the amount of enemies he has to fight with such little backup. He kicks the minecart behind him and jumps backward while shooting down a spider ready to jump at him. Blue immediately switches targets to support Red and make a clear path for them. Orange swaps over to Yellow's minecart as the latter tries to block the incoming spiders from the front. However, when Red and Blue try to jump down to Green, Yellow, and Orange, the track bumps down and the 2 are separated mid-jump. Green realizes this and pushes the cart back to help Blue, who shoots down a spider coming Green's way. Green promptly smacks it down with a kick. Meanwhile, Red slices into a spider in the sky which tumbles to Blue's way. Blue uses its carcass as a platform to cushion his momentum and continue his trajectory into a smaller leap. He shoots the spiders falling from the back while Green keeps the bottom track from getting flanked. Green goes back to cut a safe passage for Blue and hops onto the back carts first. The other 3 in the front notice that there's a massive buildup in front of them and starts retreating to the back. Orange jumps to Green and Yellow's cart and they leave to cover fire for Blue. Except the gang doesn't react fast enough to the tracks, separating Blue, who flops to the bottom tracks this time because he doesn't realize the switch mid-jump, and Red, who flops into the sky and has to catch himself with the fishing rod and spin himself back to the others. Orange is the first to retaliate against the spiders in the front of the top track while Yellow protects their 6 o'clock. Green jumps over an incoming spider and down to the bottom tracks to help out Blue, who's still recovering from the fall. But the tracks change again, and now the top tracks split into 2. Yellow jumps down to help Blue, and Red and Orange are stuck in the topmost track. Green kills a spider that lands next to a kneeling Blue, a spider falls on Blue's face, and Yellow spears his sword into it, causing Blue to stumble back from the momentum and nearly fall had Green not rotted him back. Green catapults him into the topmost track where he provides secondary support to Red and Yellow. On the top, Orange stands guard with Red, pulling the spiders in front of them for Orange to finish off. Red grabs onto a falling Yellow and pulls him into the cart. At the bottom, Green is left to fend for himself. He swings his sword first and dodges a spider that tries to go for his rear. He jumps over another spider immediately after the dodge and connects his fishing rod to one, pulling it towards him and straight into his sword. He spins to reel in a second one while still having his fresh kill, and slices downwards to shove it off of the tracks. While he does this, he uses the power of that downward slash to kick the spider coming from the back and simultaneously activating the fishing rod to grab onto another spider in the very back. He delivers another kick into the last spider. Meanwhile, in the skies, thanks to Red sending him flying, Yellow takes care of the falling spiders. He starts with a forward upper slash followed by a clean cut down of fresh spider. Blue helps him out when 2 more come Yellow's way and Yellow stabs his sword into one of them. He turns to an angle in such a way that he can stand on the spider's back and launch himself with enough force to slice down another one. After that assault, he safely lands feet first into the cart with Orange, Red, and Blue. When Blue notices that Yellow's got the upper spiders handled, he shifts to help Green below. Green rods himself into the upper cart and the sequence ends. The next fight with the Queen is relatively linear, but here's a pretty cool detail. Blue actually tries to reach for more arrows before he realizes that he's completely out. The fight opens with Purple launching himself to the King and interrupting the shockwave. King is flung to the ground and everyone realizes that he's completely disarmed. We see that Blue and the skeleton are fending off the left, Orange is recovering from a bad fall, and Yellow is grabbed by a pseudo-warden. Purple mass erases the clones and clears the board for them. The King tries to run back to Purple, but Yellow blocks off his engage. King countermaneuvers this and uses the side of the Titan Ravager to climb over to Purple, who is saved by the Enderman. King is tackled to the ground and slammed into the opposite wall, but he's able to kick off the Enderman and continue his pursuit. King uses the Enderman's toppled body to jump over the spider's spiderweb. He uses that jump to continuously arc all the way over Yellow's barrier and lands by power sliding under Yellow's feet. He continues the pursuit by pushing himself with the back leg to brace himself to jump towards purple, but he interrupts his own jump when orange lunges at him, so King propels himself forward and pushes him off. Blue provides immediate support but can't do anything as King shoves orange into him before he can draw the bow. King uses orange and blue's discombobulation as a way to jump on top of orange's head and use him as a platform. But green, red, and the spider successfully grab onto him before he can steal back the staff. Red and green grab onto his neck and green closes the distance by reeling himself closer and locking King's head in a chokehold. He flips both of them and slams King down with red still keeping him immobilized. When green gets off, red keeps up the combo by diving for the king. Green and red push up against him. Orange and blue recover and orange continues the pursuit. The enderman joins in here and yellow turns the ground into a soul sand pit. Blue and the skeleton hold the king at gunpoint. The sequence continues with purple trying to break the void, but yellow's grip strength is no match for the king and the command block staff is grabbed from him as yellow tries to pacify the Titan Ravager. A lot of people blame yellow for this, but you're going to have to convince me that this isn't the fault of the 3 other people that were on him. Like, if he's able to break free from all of the people that are grabbing onto him and still grab onto yellow, then I don't really blame yellow for not being able to contest this one. Anyway, the staff is grabbed from yellow and the king shoots them all away from him. Green though recovers immediately and initiates combat. King tries to stab into him with the staff but Green's able to block with the sword. Green stays on the defensive though, which gives him a millisecond to rod the opposite end of the staff and pull it towards him. Yellow tries to tackle the staff off of the king but he doesn't relent. Instead, yellow uses this to disable the hold on the warden. Green unhooks the rod but that gives King the opportunity to kick yellow in the back. King uses that jump from yellow to lunge for green. Green's able to continue the defensive, but King's attacks are much more forceful than his previous ones. King doesn't give green the same amount of contact time with the weapon, opting instead for sweeping strikes. Then, he creates an obsidian wave from under the warden and throws the warden to the opposite side. King also gives himself resistance 3 as the obsidian wall is broken by the Titan Ravager. This cushions him enough to still be on his feet despite taking a direct hit. Red and green dive for him from both high and low fronts. Green rods to the space behind King while red engages in direct contact to keep King preoccupied. King reacts fast enough though, and before green can close the distance, he's cut off by an obsidian wall that breaks his motion and disconnects his line. The obsidian wall pushes red back and the king holds green by the neck. But blue uses the wall as an opportunistic vantage point and launches himself from the other side to use the obsidian wall as a platform. The king retaliates with a barrier as blue and the skeleton try to shoot him down. Yellow and orange also join in the fray. Orange climbs onto the warden's back while red grabs onto the spider. I love red's little hop here as the warden carries him and red is launched to the other side which lets him use a spider to web the staff, breaking green free. As the king spawns fire that trap red and green in. Blue equips the fireworks that he got from yellow and jumps off of the platform just soon enough before the Titan Ravager breaks the obsidian wall and fights the king head on. Meanwhile, the enderman gets to the back and saves red and green before they get closed in on as the king is pushed back. The king's able to dodge through all of that by using the Titan Ravager as the needed platform to hop over the fortress wall and climb to red, green, and the enderman. The enderman also teleports in a way that lets green and red protect purple's flank. The king creates a landing platform for all of them as green initiates with a sword strike. Red and green share alternating strikes with the king, but the king's able to parry both of them with just enough force to break their movement. I want to break this fight down the most because I think this is where King shines in terms of both dexterity and strength. Red and green have very contrasting fighting styles. While one is on the two-handed force-based stabs, the other is in faster parries and stabler stances. Green relies on using his balance more, which lets him maintain a rigid and planted stance despite getting parried. Meanwhile, Red, who's in a strength versus strength combat, can't compete with the sheer force of the king and is occasionally knocked back. Green is able to interweave multiple attacks per movement, while Red still has to charge up his hits. This exact position gives the warden and orange the opportunity to fly from the ground into him and knock him back. This sends the king to the sky, but unfortunately at the perfect position to be in the same elevation as purple. They can't beat king at raw strength, so orange and the warden are pummeled down. Purple tries to jolt black lightning towards them, but is too slow to charge up the attack. The king also enchants himself with invisibility, which lets him get the jump on purple, who's still recovering from the swing. King charges up the next attack and inflicts purple with weakness 3, slowness 3, and himself with strength 2 and speed 3. Fun fact, this debuff on purple is perfectly timed with his next appearance in the episode, which is in 3 minutes. These buffs allow King to beat down on Purple and retrieve the Minecraft block staff once and for all. The next sequence is a fully activated King fighting all of them. Green grabs Purple and drags him away from the fray. Red supports Green and Purple and gets them both to safety. Meanwhile, Blue and the Skeleton rush to the front and provide cover fire, but are unmatched by OP hacks. King charges a supernova of black energy, which spawns back the evil clones of the Titan Ravager. The King continues his pursuit by manipulating the lava to knock them all back. I love how you can see their different landing positions stay consistent with their character skills. Green and Blue are the best on their feet, so they still stay upright, but Yellow and Red tumble to their backs. Purple is able to catch himself with the Elytra. Then, we have the sequence with Herobrine. Now, this sequence is actually much more straightforward than the rest of them because it gets the primary focus. I don't actually have to dissect it that much, so I'll just give you a few cool details. Herobrine's fighting style in the first half relies on evasion. He moves like a ragdoll and an eldritch force that's nigh inevitable. His skill set includes being able to teleport himself and also to teleport others, like how he got his students to safety. His Herobrine clones are also pretty interesting, but they don't have the same durability and speed as the real thing. On the opposite side, the King demonstrates how versatile the staff really is in terms of power. He wields the Minecraft block and the staff with so much more proficiency compared to Purple, Orange, and Yellow, who had to rely on what they already knew to beat him. But the way the King changes from different attack patterns shows that the weapon is an extension of his skill, not his reliance. This is opposed to someone like Yellow that, as we'll see in the future, plays the weapon like a mage. He manages to grab the King and surround him, but the Minecraft block is too strong. I think it's this sequence that I really love for the King. Actually, he kind of fights these guys the same way Green fights against the cave spiders and against Primal, but he's overwhelmed. But when it seems like Herobrine has the upper hand, that's when King discovers the other part of the Minecraft block, that they're all Minecraft mobs, and that the logic from Ultimate Weapon applies to them as well. This changes the tone of their fight, and Herobrine is now exclusively on the defensive. He stops engaging in melee combat as the King closes the gap between them. When Herobrine is captured, we get the next sequence, which is an amazing callback to the original Minecraft episode. Red and Herobrine team up against the King. This is also a pretty straightforward fight, so the only detail that I really want to point out is that all of the weapons that Herobrine conjures are exclusively Minecraft. Blue and Yellow tried to provide assistance, but the Titan Ravager is taken away from them during this pursuit. The skeleton is also grabbed by the neck, much to his detriment, and is taken by the block. Yellow starts backing away, but Red comes in with a sword to continue the attack. However, this isn't enough as the King successfully parries an arrow into Red and breaks the obsidian armor. Red suffers several continuous slams before he reforms the obsidian golem, but the block is still too strong for him. When he thinks he's got the King recalls the arrows and shatters the obsidian armor once and for all. Red is left defenseless as Herobrine is taken away from him. Purple recovers from the status effects just in time to catch a falling Red, and Herobrine is officially defeated and stored inside the Minecraft block. Green and the spider try to retaliate by holding him down. Green successfully lassos the line around the King, but the spider falls a bit too close to the King that he's still able to swing the staff at it and seal it off. The force breaks Green's line, and the Enderman has to catch him mid-air. Orange, Blue, and Yellow join the fray with Orange on the Warden's back trying to go on the offensive. Green joins the fray with Enderman, but they're separated as the King slams up and successfully seals in the Enderman. The King sends an obsidian wave to wash through Green, Blue, and Yellow, leaving Orange to face him. The Warden is set to back into the Minecraft block, but before it could disappear, it throws Orange off of him, probably because it wants to make sure that Orange isn't sucked along with it. The next sequence is finally an unassisted battle between the Color Gang and the King. The sequence opens with Red unconscious and Purple having to watch over him. Blue, Yellow, and Green are sent flying. Yellow is the first one of the three to notice Red's state as he sits back up and he looks at Red. Meanwhile, Purple has to catch Orange, who is thrown from the sky. Purple redirects Orange's attention to an unconscious Red as they both look down. We get a panning shot of King destroying Minecraft and a beam of bright white light. In a previous short, I interpreted this scene as them being sad for Red's near-death state, but for this video, I want to take on a more neutral interpretation. Orange and purple are covering their eyes from the blast, but we barely make out Red coughing himself awake. You have to catch it with the smallest movements of his head against the bandana. Yellow realizes that Red's awake and both him and Orange run to Red's side. Purple lowers his guard in relief and the three of them help Red up. Blue is still heaving from the previous battle, but he and Green do turn to look at Red and they continue their onslaught. Red is invigorated and I love how you can see Purple kind of reaching out to him. But realizing that they need to pull themselves together, Purple joins in the charge. It's here that I realized how much Green is actually the pivotal character amongst the color gang throughout this sequence. While the other four did get their adventures during this season, Green, through his connection with Purple, has the most pseudo-spotlight against the king. And he's the one that actually continuously holds up the 1v1s. This detail is further exemplified in the next scenes. Anyway, let's continue. Green and Purple lead the charge against the king, with Green rodding himself closer and hurling himself onto his back. He lassos the rod again like a noose around the king's neck and forces his head backwards, with Purple charging in Superman uppercut style and Yellow trying to fly at the king with the sword. The king catches Yellow's sword though and hurls him back into the white light. Meanwhile, Purple and Green go for the frontal assault as Purple lands on the king's back and he jumps just fast enough for Green to have space. Blue is already there to continue the attack. Green's able to attach the hook to the back of King's neck and angle the king's head down to give Blue a clear headshot. Except the king is able to use Yellow's sword to parry Blue's arrow. Green does a U-turn and prepares to attack with Purple. They cover both sides of the king as Green is knocked off. But Purple's able to arch the king enough to give Blue a direct shot. Blue shows no mercy and just dives right in front of his face and starts shooting. But neither of them are strong enough to hold him down as Blue is flung off. Orange and Red are able to lunge at the king. Red is grabbed mid-air by the neck and flung away as Orange lands on the ground. Green and Purple do a combo as Green casts the line towards Purple, who grabs onto the hook. However, this isn't enough and unfortunately Green is flung right off. Purple doesn't let go of the hook and is sent flying with him. This is the end of the final teamfight sequence of the king as they regather their thoughts and try again. The next sequence is a series of all of them charging at the king one by one, and this scene doesn't need any further dissection, but I love that this does showcase their personalities and how they engage. Red's the one that's most passionate and charges in first, with Green being the one that has to support Red's engage. Orange and Blue always aim for the head, and we get a cool scene with Yellow and Purple. Also, some details that I found in the ending sequence, since this has been consistent throughout the fight. Green's clarinet can be heard calling out to Purple, whose violin responds much more flatly. Then when Purple is whisked away, Green can be seen in shock, then crying. At first, I did think that he was just wiping his face, but then I realized, why didn't everyone else do this? And also, that kind of just defeats the atmosphere of the whole scene. Yellow, Blue, and Red are also in shock, and it has to be Orange that pulls them out of the daze of seeing someone literally die. In their escape sequence, Green, Yellow, and Red make a clutch catch on Orange. Green and Blue also boost the other three to get them over the edge safely, while they both rod themselves over. Blue also has to be stopped multiple times by Red and Yellow from jumping to the piglins. For the final Minecraft baton pass, Green is the first one to quote-unquote die as we see him falling straight into the white void. Red falls next after swinging the staff. Blue throws both Yellow and Orange to the other side before disappearing. Yellow's the next one to get completely engulfed after throwing Orange. None of them were willing to sacrifice each other during the sequence. Orange actually does try to sacrifice himself in the beginning by throwing the rod to Blue, but Yellow still prioritizes saving him. And we know how everything else goes. Orange is successful, the day is saved, and luckily no one was murdered, or else this would have been a very different series. And with that, we finished this monster of a fight scene. I really enjoyed this frame-by-frame analysis because it kind of helped me understand King's fighting style a lot more, especially since he is an adult. And I also like that he isn't just OP hacks. Well, you know, in a way he is. But he's also a really skilled brawler. And he does use the staff like an actual weapon. And Blue opens the fight with a jump kick straight into Green's face as Green tries to climb up the stairs. Green's knocked backwards and Blue continues to assault as he punches Green twice, then grabs him by the neck and throws him all the way to the second floor. Green, however, lands properly and he's already posed to fight, which catches Blue off guard as Green front flip kicks him to the head, straight into the bottom floor. When they both recover, Blue's already posed to fight again and Green goes on the offensive. He punches Blue twice and he kicks Blue's stomach, but Blue doesn't queue long enough and actually ducks to dodge Green's next punch. Blue bends over to charge a kick right into Green's stomach when he continues with a double kick, but Yellow's able to interrupt by jumping front kick Blue's back, then swapping to the next leg to front kick Green in the stomach for a double kill. Blue wastes no time in flipping himself up as Yellow tries to charge in, but he backflips to Yellow and grabs him by the neck. He's flipped to the second floor and Green delivers a kick to Yellow's back. Red enters the fray by jumping Green and punching him in the stomach, then in the face. Red continues the combo with jumping alternating upper toe kicks before finishing with a final front kick with the bottom of his foot. Blue tries to go on the low end this time with Yellow on the flank by hook kicking Red's feet, but Red jumps up and dodges. Red's able to sense Yellow and cleanly bends down to dodge Yellow's punches, which gives Red the perfect wind-up position to jump and land on top of Blue's torso. Red then shoves Yellow off with a kick, capitalizing on Yellow's rebound. He lands a chop to Yellow's nape before squaring him right in the jaw. Red then backhand punches Blue off of him, then bashes his head forward. Yellow tries to recuperate, but is kicked right in the stomach. Blue gets up and punches Red, but Red ducks down to dodge while simultaneously grabbing onto Blue's neck. Red pulls him in and knees him in the balls. This keeps Blue down for a significant amount of time. Green jumps over Blue's miserable state and jump kicks Red right in the neck. Red's able to close in on himself though to block Green's first kick slightly, but Green swaps active legs and kicks Red in the stomach. Red is sent flying to Yellow, who shoves him back up perfectly to Green's wound-up uppercut. Yellow combos Green's punch by jump kicking Red in the back. Green catches Red, then he just throws him to the other side of the room like a ragdoll. Yellow capitalizes on Green's distraction and Green gets punched in the back of the neck. Blue continues the sequence by socking Yellow in the jaw, then delivering another punch before ducking to dodge Green, who tries to punch him in the back. The sequence ends with Orange interrupting their fight. I like how even in the beginning of 11 years ago, oh no, their distinct fighting styles are already hinted at. Blue throws people, Green and Yellow prioritize kicks, and Red's an all-rounder. But this also establishes that, as a baseline, they can do both. I think the biggest change here is actually how Red went from supposedly being the strongest of them to being toned down to still being strong objectively, but being more so on an even playing field. This is probably for the best because the series started shifting less from obscure random power scaling to actually incorporating the concept of power with weight and consequences. I think instead of just having the power scaling of who's the strongest amongst the sticks, it's more so how can they weaponize or utilize the environment around them, themselves, and each other. That shift actually kind of sets the tone for the rest of the series, especially in Animation vs. Minecraft, where all of them have unique fighting styles. But then we move on to AVA9. Blue starts the fight like the little bloodthirsty rat that he is, but Red is on the offensive. Red starts by trying to go for Blue's face, but Blue's able to interweave blocks with subtle dodges to keep Red from making contact. Then, when Red loses his initial momentum by missing a big swing, Blue swaps to the offensive and closes in on Red by simultaneously breaking his strikes with swiping blocks. Green interrupts the both of them and starts the next round by back-kicking Red and trying to trip Blue. He continues the attack on Blue by bending forward and back-kicking him again. And when he comes back up, Red's caught as Green's able to catch all three of his punches. Green anticipates Blue's flank, however, as he hooks his arm around Blue's fist and backhands him in the face. Before Green can connect the punch though, Yellow banzai kicks him and Red to the other side and the two go tumbling. Blue rejoins the fray with his newfound stability and starts charging after Yellow. Yellow does two actions here as he blocks Blue. He's not only keeping his distance from Blue, but he's also closing in on Red, which lets him destabilize Red's charge up by kicking him in the active leg's ankle. Blue tries to grab for Yellow's neck, as you do with any good team fight, but Yellow's able to grab both of his wrists and redirect the rest of Blue's upper body strength away from him. Yellow doesn't actually try to contest Blue in terms of strength, but he uses that attack's heaviness as Blue's anchor. Red dives from behind Yellow and tries to get the jump on him, but Yellow swiftly ducks down. Green comes in for the kill though with a jumping front kick that Yellow catches. Then Green combos that momentum with a crescent outer kick before turning and front kicking Yellow. Yellow's able to catch all of them though. On the other side, Red absolutely loses control of his jump and he's forced to tumble forwards into Blue, who, even though starts gearing up thinking that Red's about to attack him, actually recognizes that Red's discombobulated and transitions into helping him out. And this is going to be very important later when we see the rest of the fight. Anyway, Orange appears and the rest engage in a 4v1. Red starts the offensive by trying to punch low, but Orange blocks him with one arm before Red transitions to punching higher. Orange uses that mid-block to transition into a punch into Yellow, who catches it. But Red's active arm lags for a little too long, which leaves him wide open for a kick to his stomach. But he recovers just fast enough to block Orange's next strikes. Except he doesn't get to pull his arm back from Orange and is kicked in the jaw. Blue is not here to make friends and just ducks down to dodge Red's incapacitated body. Green closes in on the engage and tries to capitalize on Orange still in the middle of falling after the jump. But this is where Orange's ungodly strength kicks in and Green's arm is grabbed mid-swing. Green is thrown into Blue, who, again, is not here to make friends, and just kind of dodges the second body coming his way. Except he doesn't dodge low enough and starts tumbling backwards. Yellow tries to go on the offensive with punches for the first time in this fight, but Orange's reaction time is too fast. If you notice, the way that Orange blocks is similar to martial arts redirection blocks rather than the catches that Yellow was doing a while ago that are meant to just stop momentum. Orange does a sick two-sided block here by shifting his leg up to block Yellow's kick and block Red's incoming punch. Then he crisscrosses those maneuvers, which maintain the wind-up for both his right arm and his right leg. He punches down on Yellow's trapped calf, and he steps on Red's foot. Then he predicts that Yellow will punch forward since his leg is trapped, which lets him limbo back and Red is socked in the face. Blue throws yet another body off of him for the third time in this sequence and finally joins the fray. From this position, Orange capitalizes on Yellow's open stance and socks him in the stomach. Yellow recoils from the impact and tries to block the next blows, but you can tell he's heavily disoriented from the blow as he struggles to maintain his footing, compared to how he was fighting Red and Green. Blue goes for an all-out fist fight and tries to uppercut Orange's stomach, but the latter double arm pummels him down. Blue doesn't relent and Orange has to grab his forearm and Blue's tossed overhead on top of Yellow. Orange dodges out of Green's power slide, and as the two get ready to fight, Orange gets bodied by a rock. Alright, breakdown. I actually really like how Orange fights each of them individually because it shows some of the ways that they can get countered based on their unique fighting style. Red, who is much more versatile but volatile, can get countered by a fighter that can weaponize his open positions and stances, something that happens in his fight against Purple. Green is light and dexterous, but if he is not careful, his speed can be weaponized by someone that's also good at redirecting forces, especially if he's significantly weaker strength-wise to counteract that force, say someone pummeling into him or grabbing him. Yellow's upper body strength is significantly less controlled than his lower body strength, being made up for in faster but less impactful swings and punches. Swiping him away is actually a really good tactic here. Yellow's fighting style destabilizes the frame of a person though before counteracting. His recovery time isn't fast enough and his upper body strength can't support an oncoming force head-on. Conversely, Blue is very upper body priority. Blue is a brutal force when you have to face him in an upper body contest, but his fighting style requires him to come much closer. This is similar to how he was closing the distance between himself and Hazard and was constantly being thrown several things to block him. I also like how the small tidbit here does hint the other strength-based feats that Blue has in the series, which is that Orange doesn't completely rely on one-handed blocks to stop Blue. The next PvP sequence that I want to break down is in the Ultimate Minecart. The sequence opens with everyone on their chosen method of movement. Red on the horse, Green with the slime blocks, Blue aura farming with his signature drugs, and Orange actually hijacking the chickens that Red tried to use on him and Green. First contact commences when Green tosses slime blocks at Red to throw him off of the horse. Red jumps over the first one, but is hit by the subsequent slime blocks. Can I just say how unnecessary this is? And like, Green's already far ahead. I don't know why he had to make a statement here. And it's actually this that gives Blue the inch he needs to steal a mile, as he climbs onto the flying slime blocks to catch up to Green, grab both of his hands, and launch him all the way to Red, yet again who's minding his own business. Red successfully jumps over Green, but Green fishing rods Blue's chest while he is mid-item swap to a bow, and he does his signature reel and kick straight into Blue. Orange joins in on the fray and starts bombing the pavement for Red, who is again minding his own business, and Blue tumbles in the air and grabs onto Orange's leg, dragging him down. On the ground, Red hurls a chicken egg with a lead to Green to keep him in the air, while simultaneously keeping his balance on two legs on the horse. In the air, Orange kicks Blue in the face, which gets him off of him, but Blue starts shooting an en masse of fireworks before he lands, which kills Orange's chicken. On the other side, Green's preparing a trident to Red, which he chucks, killing the horse, but Red jumps just in time with his chicken. Orange is falling from the sky, but he catches himself with fireworks as Red equips a big bee and starts flying with the chicken. Green has his fishing rod and he hurls himself to the bee, but Red throws a chicken at him, which starts pecking. Blue jumps in the air to get his revenge at Orange by decking him in the face, climbing on top of him, then yanking the firework from his hand, sending Orange all the way to the back. One of the fireworks killed the chicken, and Blue's in the position to rain fire down on Green and Red. I have no idea what's happening in the back, but Orange uses a TNT or a fire charge, it's kind of unclear, to explode himself back to the race, and his behind is on fire. Red's bee is killed, launching Green, and Blue lands on Red's bee and sits on him to propel himself forward. The burning effect disappears, and Orange equips another firework, which he rides like a rocket, a possible reference to animation versus physics, and Green power glides all the way to Red, commencing Grand Theft Auto, then we cut back to Yellow. The continuation has Orange in the lead on a minecart, but Green isn't letting him get away as he hooks onto the back of the cart to reel himself in, and kick Orange in the back of the neck. Red gets his bee back, and Blue smells blood in the water as he jumps to the flying cart to grab onto Orange for the third time this sequence to propel himself off. I love the little look back that Green has as he sees Blue on his way and he just starts running for his life. Nothing's stopping Blue though as Blue lands on Green and he jumps off. Orange is flying high in the sky and uses the shield TNT method. Green hooks onto Blue's neck and he flings him overhead, but Red chicken combos Orange. Blue makes 3 sprays of fireworks at those in the lead, and they're all flung back. Orange flies in on fireworks, Blue potion speed runs all the way, and Green hooks onto the ceiling. Unfortunately, all of them ending in a tie. Honorable mentions in this episode include Blue getting smacked in the face with a cart, Green choking Orange with a fishing line, Green using the shovel as an improvised projectile, Red getting hit with a minecart in the face, Red trying to get away peacefully before getting ridden like a jockey, and all of the bombs Blue has been using. Also, Orange does not get a break this entire episode as he is, once again, tackled by Blue. The final stand begins with Lancer's countdown as Blue spawns an iron golem underneath all of them. They're all thrown in the air as Blue and Green dive out of Red and Yellow's way. Yellow bombs all of the people on the ground and then he continues bombing the ones that are flying towards him. Yellow is trying to keep himself in the air with the propulsion of the bombs, then he bombs himself to the other side as he lands on the tree. Meanwhile, Red's trying to keep the ground people busy by using Blue's sword throwing technique with one hand, then speed building with the other. As the camera pans out, Green and Blue are delivering the next set of blows onto the flying two as Blue starts chucking blocks at one of them and Green tries diving for the other one while throwing his swords. I like how despite how wacky this whole sequence is, each of them get out on their own preferred fighting style. Blue scatters them by causing them to be thrown, Green is technically dual-wielding, Red's trying to create a favorable terrain, and Yellow's bombing everyone like the little arsonist that he is. Anyway, the camera starts zooming in on Yellow and Red trying to fend off the Green team, with the bridge behind Red getting bombed. Moonster successfully closes in on Red as Red's knocked off bounds, but Red's able to do a really sick maneuver here by throwing a TNT first, then an Ender Pearl. He uses the TNT as a makeshift platform just fast enough to still have the time to grab it and spin dunk it to Lancer. Sarlacc comes from behind him though as Yellow throws a sword to the back of Sarlacc's head, which ricochets. Red catches the sword, then throws it back to Lancer. Meanwhile, Yellow's in the back with a fire charge and he launches himself while bombing Sarlacc. Yellow is a menace to society and uses Red's falling body as a platform to launch himself off of. Out of all of the four of them, I genuinely think that Yellow is the king of aerial combat because he flies so effortlessly even without the presence of an elytra. Here, he throws a bunch of red wool blocks, then scatters them around. He uses these floating blocks as the platform he needs to throw the fire charges off of. The explosions as he's propelling himself off of those blocks are the movement he needs to get from one opponent to another. He lands to red, but they're immediately bombed off of the platform. Yellow's not as discombobulated, and he throws red wool blocks to collide with the incoming fire charges. Meanwhile, red builds mid-air and tries catching his fall with the bridge, but he's not able to stop his momentum and he's continuously tumbling down. Yellow is in a fight with Lancer, but the fire charge connects, almost launching him off of the platform had he not caught himself with the wooden sword. Yellow also launches an item which creates a tower of red wool to block off Lancer. Yellow starts building backwards, but Lancer's able to get the jump on him. Red notices that Yellow's knocked off of the platform and jumps in the air to catch him. Red lands on the platform below and the two start dangling for dear life. Meanwhile, we cut to Green getting launched back first into a pillar, and he has to catch himself with his two swords. But he has to recover immediately as Spray sprays a fire charge at him. Green dives to dodge and he starts throwing both swords at Spray to keep him at bay. But Spray's climbing fast enough and successfully catches up to Green. Before he can secure a kill though, Blue swoops in to save him and starts pelting Spray with a bunch of blocks. Spray starts planting a bomb, then starts shoving both of them into the bomb, but Blue is able to close him off. The two are flanked by Tins, who starts beating them down, and Blue keeps the distance by building up for both of them. Tins doesn't let them get away though, as Blue is shoved off, separating Green and Blue. Blue launches himself up with a fire charge, and he hangs on the pillar with a ladder, while Red and Yellow are smacked off of the platform. Yellow catches himself with a fire charge, and Red stops the fall with an egg that actually starts building a staircase of red wool for him. Red also tosses an ender pearl, which catches him off screen. At the bottom, Blue notices that Yellow is flying towards him, so he launches himself from the ladder and grabs onto Yellow's foot. He spins Yellow to Spray, who catches a fire charge to the face. Then Red and Blue start pelting Spray with blocks. Green joins them on the other side and they successfully kill their first enemy. That victory is short-lived though, as Red and Blue are bombed till Kingdom Come and Green is separated from them. Green slides to the wooden sword and does a 6 spin to throw the swords to both enemies flanking him. He spins mid-air, then keeps spinning while on the ground instead of landing by the feet or the knees. Then he relaunches himself into the air. But he does lose that momentum, and when he does land, he's stabbed from behind and he's not given any room to dodge or disengage. Camera pans to Yellow, who's knocked off of the platform, and when he does try to get away, he's flanked by Lancer, who shoves him back and forth. Yellow gets to escape with an ender pearl though, before getting bodied by Sarlacc, and Yellow struggles to find his footing. As he launches in the air and closed in by 3 of them, sudden death barely saves him and he needs to get caught by Red and Blue. The primary color trio make their stand by using the dragon, but Yellow is bombed off and promptly killed. Blue finally gets his opportunity to shine with his signature bow, but is bombed off the dragon. Red makes the dragon dive for him, and I like how unfazed Blue is despite getting bombed. If there's one thing that Blue is strangely proficient in, it's how difficult it is to significantly stagger him, unless you can genuinely trap him or your force is much higher. He starts shooting while flying in the air, then he anticipates Red's catch as he's grabbed back onto the dragon. They start their aerial combat and they both grab each other's neck and spin themselves to change positions. Blue throws Red down to jump higher, and Red throws Blue higher to cover more distance between Blue and the enemies, because Blue has a bow, essentially having Red sacrifice himself so that Blue can be in a better position. Red does try to retaliate by stabbing and throwing the sword at them multiple times, but to no avail as he is stabbed off of the face of the earth. Blue's able to kill Sarlacc though with the help of Red's damage. Lancer bombs Blue and then ender pearls himself to the platform. Blue anticipates his teleport and bombs him, which sends him back. Blue lands on the platform and prepares for a final combat. He starts trying to finish off Lancer with the throwing technique, and as the two struggle, they're interrupted by a moderator who bans both of them. I don't know, I've always liked this fight. It's one of those fights where they really go all out because they know there's not really a lot of consequences to what they do except for pride and ego, so they're a bit more unscattered and unhinged. Anyway, if you want to see more frame-by-frame analysis, feel free to subscribe. I'm Mushi and this has been frame-by-frame analysis of Bed Wars. Hi! Editing Mushi here, but a bit of a side note that I really wanted to talk about for this episode. If you notice, the color gang actually starts learning from each other when it comes to using technique. Also, the amount of times that Yellow actually jumps on Red's head in this episode are insane. So some examples is Green using the Iron Golem, which Blue uses in the finale, Red and Yellow using one of Blue's techniques when it came to bashing someone's head in and also throwing stuff at them, Yellow using the wool as a little kind of flying maneuver, blue using the chest that actually spawns the tower similar to what yellow does. And we see red already on the dragon. I don't know, it's that kind of visual storytelling that I will always appreciate when it comes to quiet or dialogue-less shows like this. Nevertheless, that's me.